To all the men that get stuck in friend zone, who are called the nice guy, who's their bestie, who's a woman's best friend, who's the guy they go to share all their problems, to be the shoulder to cry on, and you just get so frustrated with this. I'm sure a lot of you have sat and wondered, why do women always go for the guy who's the jerk? What is up with that? And you see, it's guys who sometimes they're really abusive, or they're assholes, or they're cheaters, or they're just low-life losers. And a lot of you guys stuck in nice guy simp mode are just puzzled by this. And I get where you're coming from. If you're a guy who's never really had much masculine influence, or been involved in masculine activities, or just grew up, if you're a younger guy, there's so few things where you actually get to experience and get praise for being masculine. I can understand why you'd be so lost and confused, because on the one hand, women say, well, I just want a guy who's nice, who loves me, who cherishes me, who treats me like his queen, blah, blah, blah. But then, so you hear these words, but then you see her actions. It's always the guy who does the exact opposite. And this is why, of course, you never listen to a woman for dating advice, because a lot of the times women don't even know themselves what they're responding to, why they like a particular guy. But anyway, back when I was younger, this was something that puzzled me too, because when I was elementary school, junior high school, even high and up to high school, I was never an athlete. I did play soccer. I golfed and I skateboarded, but we'll get into that. But I would never consider myself an athlete. I was much more of the artistic, creative type of a guy. And so what this means is I was more quieter. I was a little bit more stood in the corner and observed. In some ways, I was pretty shy. I was more sensitive to people around me, and I would take that in and use it for my art and writing and making videos. That was what really got me going. But I did notice that, the jocks, as we called them back when I was growing up, was very successful with women. And I never really got it, because even back growing up in the 80s, we still had the messaging. You look at any of the teen rom-coms, and it's always like, if you pine hard enough over the girl, if you just be the nice guy bringing flowers, eventually she'll wake up and see you as the true savior and the real gentleman that she'll fall in love with. And this is just bullshit. If she does see you like that, she sees you as the simp provider who can, supply her a lovely lifestyle, and she's more interested in, what you bring home versus having sexual arousal for you as a man. There's a big difference between being attracted to you as a stable man and being aroused by you. And you can certainly become both of these things at once, which is the ultimate combo. But anyway, this was so confusing to me as I was a kid. And as I got older, I had a girlfriend, and she at the time I thought she was one of the most attractive women I've ever gone out with. And there was this day where I was pissed off about something, and I was venting. And I wasn't pissed off at her. I was pissed off about something else. I was upset and angry about something. And I was kind of going off saying something. I don't know what I was saying, and I don't remember what it was about. But I remember distinctly her saying to me, she goes, gosh, she's like, I don't know why this is, but I find like you getting pissed off and angry like this is so hot, and it's really turning me on. And I was dumbfounded. It made no sense to me at that time. Now, of course, having learned so much more about male and female dynamics, it makes a lot of sense. But at that time, it really was like, whoa, it totally stopped me in my tracks and made me think, what? Why would she say something like that? Why would that be a cue for her to feel turned on and find that to be really hot? Well, this is where I began to understand that, first of all, when we talk about, like what I said earlier, nice guys being so confused about why do women go for these meatheady jock type or whatever you want to call them, guys who are athletes or who are prone to violence. Well, it goes to the fact that women really feel safe and secure when they are not only with a man who has the capability for violence, but who also doesn't put up with things. So in the moment where I was getting frustrated, I was displaying behaviors of like anger, which would then could potentially lead to physical violence, right? And it also showed having boundaries. It showed having like, you push me too far and I'm going to snap. I'm going to put my foot down. Now, did I get violent? No, I wasn't getting violent, but I had the potential and capability to get violent and to be physical if I needed to. Now, this doesn't mean, hey, start going around and being violent. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that. But I'm saying that when a woman knows that you have this ability, it does turn her on. That extremeness of that emotion and your the thing that is very arousing to a woman is knowing that the man she's with can become the beast, can become this violent beast, but he has the emotional self-control to be able to temper it and hold it back. If you're a guy who loses your shit when you get upset and can't control it, that's a turnoff. So what a lot of times happens is that women fall for guys who on the beginning, they're very charming and they're tough, they're masculine, and they can tell that these guys could be violent, right? Maybe they're a fighter, or maybe they're a bodybuilder, whatever it is. They got muscles that look like they could do some damage. And so these women go out with guys like that, and they discover that these guys can get violent, but they don't know how to control themselves. And this is where you see a lot of guys just like lose their shit. And this is where they get physically violent. And so there's a bit of a camouflage at play. It's like at first glance, you think, wow, this guy's really got the strength and the physicality to protect me. But he doesn't have the emotional side or the emotional self-control to temper it and only use it when necessary. It's kind of like when you meet a woman who's really, really hot and you're thinking, wow, I have hit the jackpot, beautiful girl, and you're just thinking things are gonna be great. But when you get to know her and you realize, holy shit, she's super insecure, there's so much drama. She comes from some super messed up background, and it's like, this is not what I signed up for. It has that same dynamic. So anyway, I think a lot of guys who fall into the trap of being the nice guy, being sensitive, are too afraid to show that this side of themselves. Now, like I said, me being an artistic kind of a guy, I always was more interested in creating art or videos or photography, and I wasn't going around displaying my physicality. That being said, you can still display a level of physical prowess in your attitude. Now, I'm not out of shape. I'm not fat. I was never like, someone who would look like just a hunched over weakling, because truth be told, I got in quite a few fights growing up. So while I didn't specialize in athletics, I could still roughhouse and fight with guys, and I got in plenty of fights. But the thing is that you can also do this with how you behave. And this is what I mean when I say, hey, know how to put your foot down and know how to have boundaries. Because if you can stand up for yourself, there's something very similar to that doesn't require you to necessarily be physically intimidating or physically being able to fight or be violent. But you can still connect the ideas there. So what do I mean by this? Well, like I said in my example earlier, if someone rubs you the wrong way, if the woman that you're with is disrespectful to you, if she does things that are inappropriate or does things that are out of line, she embarrasses you or in public or something like that, she's disrespectful to you in front of other people, this is where you can put your foot down and let her know that, hey, this is not cool. I'm not gonna put up with that. But a lot of guys who fall in that friend zone are too afraid to do this. They're too afraid to show that they can have the potential to get upset. Most men have been led to believe that if they show any disapproval, if they get angry, that is a toxic thing. But it's not. This is just a normal emotion that everybody has and that you should feel free to show. If you're angry about something, you can be angry. If you're frustrated, you can be frustrated. And I think it's more important actually to get it out then and there and to say, hey, you know what, I'm not cool with that. And that doesn't work for me. And be able to say that. But the trick is you know how to control yourself. It's that emotional self-control where you can vent your feelings, but you're not gonna get crazy, you're not gonna lose your shit. The other key thing here too, that a lot of guys who are simps or who are nice guys, the pattern they fall into is that they say, oh, I don't like her to disrespect me like that, or, you know, that bothers me, blah, blah, blah. So they say these things, but then there are no consequences. So they just stick around with that woman and she does it again, and then they keep complaining. So the woman knows that, okay, he's not really gonna do anything, so there's really no point in me changing my behavior, so I'll just continue to walk all over him. And then, you know, the guy, it happens enough where the guy just, a lot of times will blow up and just do something stupid because he just doesn't have the wherewithal and the self-dignity and respect to say, hey, enough is enough, I'm out of here. And that's really the best way to handle things. You don't try to force someone to do something. You simply give consequences and let them know this is what I'm gonna do if you decide to do that. And if they do that, then there has to be the consequence. You know, you remove your attention, you remove yourself, and you don't validate that bad behavior. So that could mean ending the relationship and just leaving the relationship, or it could mean, you know, not speaking with her for a while or whatever. You know, it's something where there has to be a consequence that she feels and she knows that you're serious. She needs to know that you mean what you say. So standing up for your own convictions is very important. And this goes back to the physicality part where if she sees that you can defend yourself, if she knows that you have the capability for aggression and violence, and she knows that you'll stand up for your beliefs, and if she knows that you'll stand up to her, this is where she can feel your strength, feel your boundaries, and actually have respect for you, instead of you simply bending over and just taking it and putting up with it. So if you're a nice guy out there struggling and like don't understand why, it seems like the nicer you are, the more friend zoned you become, the more they take advantage of you, the more you get frustrated, you end up going home with that nice old pants full of blue balls. This is probably why, because you're uncomfortable venting negative emotions. And you're afraid to call a woman out. You're afraid that if you do, she's gonna think you're a jerk or that you're toxic. You think that you have to be this totally understanding messiah guru who never gets upset, who's totally just chill all the time. And when I say get upset, I don't mean pounding your fists and raging and yelling and blah. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, for example, if I was in a situation where I was or someone, you know, a woman did something to me or did something really disrespectful, my reaction would be like, you know, that's inappropriate, and that doesn't work for me. So if you're gonna continue to act like that, I'm gonna head out of here. And if you finally settle down and learn to behave like an adult, we can talk. So that's essentially the tone that I would take if something like that was going on. And just recently, actually, I had a confrontation with a neighbor who was just blasting music a lot. And I didn't want to, you know, I'm not going to go in there yelling and screaming, but I simply went upstairs and knocked and said, hey, just do me a favor, just turn the music down a little bit, appreciate it. Being able to hold back your frustrations, because this was frustrating, it was late at night, music was blasting, being able to hold yourself back and give people that warning shot, that's very effective. You don't need to lose your shit. Now, that being said, I'm not saying never do that, because there are probably times where maybe you do need to. If someone's physically attacking you, if something's going on and you need to yell and say, hey, you know, like get back, you know, yell and shout. And I've been in those situations too, where you need to intimidate through yelling or some sort of a physical changing your posture. That's fine. But I think in most circumstances, you're not going to be in that. You're just going to be talking with someone. A woman's going to be behaving a certain way, or one of your guy friends, or just someone's going to be behaving or talking to you in a certain way. And you can vent that. Don't feel ashamed to vent negative feelings, but you can do it in such a way that you're like, hey, you know, that does not work for me. I'm not down with that. If you're going to continue to do that, then we're going to have to wrap this up. That easy. What I see a lot of guys do instead is they're like, oh, hey, oh, yeah, no, it's all good, man. I appreciate it. Yo, hey, yo, it's all good, man. No worries, dude. And inside, they're like, fucking A, like just super pissed. And they're not honest. There's this sort of emotional dishonesty where they're like, they grin and bear it, and they keep doing it. And eventually, they explode, they rage out, they lose their cool, they blow their top, And that's just the wrong way to do it. You know, there are ways, if it's a lighter infringement on you, you don't have to get so super serious, but you can still vent like, hey, you know what, guys, like that's just, you guys gotta knock that off. And you can do it in that kind of a tone. But you just don't want to let it build up. So, you know, if it's with a woman that you're with and she's disrespectful, I think you have to be able to share what you're feeling then and there to get out of being the pushover nice guy thing. And this is why guys who put their foot down and, you know, who appear to be these douchebag jerks, to your mind they look like a douchebag or a jerk, but chances are they're just men with boundaries. Now there are obviously some guys who are truly jerks and douchebags, but when women say that, oh, he was a jerk or controlling a douchebag, it usually means that he had boundaries and he wouldn't put up with my disrespect. And so they'll craft it into saying he was controlling or a jerk so they look a bit better. And you know, they tend to do this. Not all women do this, but a lot of women will do that to make themselves look better, to avoid having that accountability. Now, if you meet a woman who is willing to say, hey, you know, yeah, my last relationship ended because I did X, Y, and Z, and I was disrespectful to him. Now that is a sign of a great woman. And if you meet a woman like that, that's someone that you should really consider getting to know more, because a woman who can be accountable for her own behaviors is a bit of a rare gem. So that's something to really treasure if you do find it. So anyway, for all you nice guys, for all you simps out there, for all you guys puzzled as to why they seem to go for those types of dudes, I hope this answers your question. If you want to know more on how to attract feminine women into your life, I have a free guide that you can download below. Click that link and grab her, completely free. If you haven't already, please, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. I drop videos every week. And if you would like, now this is only if you would like, if you're struggling with dating or relationships, I have a coaching program that has been extremely successful for the men who have signed up for it. You can click the link down below and check it out. And if it seems like something right for you, I highly suggest you to sign up, and we'll get to work and get you rocking and rolling, get you out of nice guy simp territory. All right, guys, that's it for this one. We'll see you in the next video.